So to give you a little background, in Project 84, my 84 Firebird, the floor pans have some rust in them, and I really wanted to change over to the 91, 92 style Trans Am bumpers. And so I've been looking for a parts car. I found a couple online. I found one in particular, this white 91 GTA that I was particularly interested in. It has a really pretty camel, I don't know, tan interior. I don't know what the exact color name is. And so I was kind of messaging back and forth with the guy, and he was explaining that this was a super rare car and blah, blah, blah. But then he busts out with, it's a 1LE car. And I don't know why he said that. Never seen a GTA with a 1LE package before. If you're not familiar with the 1LE package, it was really a factory delete package. So it had no AC, no power windows, no power locks, bigger brakes. I think they also had dual cat exhaust and a couple other things. But I'd never seen a GTA with it because typically the GTA was pretty loaded up. And so he didn't have that listed in the ad anywhere. And I'd been asking him some specific questions, and the guy was a little, he didn't really answer my questions. When I asked him how the floor pans were, he said, well, you really need to come look at it. So we decided we'd go and take a trip up there to take a look at it. You'll see kind of what I saw, but I wanted to kind of show what transpired as I was chatting with him prior to that, just so you kind of see how it was set up for me that, you know, the car really wasn't what he advertised it to be. As it turns out, the car had been sitting in this barn for about 7 years. So the pictures he put online were when it was at his house, before it had gone to the barn, and it was in remarkably better shape. I imagine the floors weren't rusted out like they are now. But you'll see that later on in the video, but I just wanted to go ahead and give you some of that information up front. So it's a rainy Saturday, and we are heading up to outside of Indianapolis. I located what I think will be a good parts car for Project 84, and so we're heading up to check it out. I will show you more when we get there. We're heading to pick up Mike. He's going to ride up with me. He's my other third gen buddy, knows a lot about them, has the blue 86 Trans Am that you haven't really seen on the channel yet. So I'm rolling up to pick him up, and then once I get him, we're gonna take about a 2-hour road trip north, and we'll be there, and I'll get a little bit of footage of the car and see if it's worth buying. It was pretty much at this point I knew that the car was in very bad shape and wasn't at all what was pictured in the ad. The seller had been insistent that this car was a 1LE GTA package, which I knew didn't exist, and the only way to really find that out for sure was to come up here and look at the service parts identification tag, which is located in the console. As you can see, there is no 1LE RPO code. The guy really truly thought that that's what he had. Unfortunately, that package didn't exist on the GTA package. So it was at that point that I knew the car was probably not worth at all what he was asking, and I proceeded to go ahead and look around the car and see if it was going to be worth buying as a parts car. So I'm going to point out some of the damage and how it happened. Right there, that marker light is burnt to a crisp. Carjacking.
The guy at the GM dealership, I took it to Andy Moore in Fishers. He said, "Yeah, you got
terrible repaint." Originally, he said it was all original, and then I questioned him about the paint. Sure enough, he had it painted.
So I drove it. Yeah, it was my daily driver for a long time.
After I opened the door, the smell of musty, damp carpet really hit me, and it was pretty apparent that this car had been sitting in this condition for a while in this barn. The barn was not very well insulated. It was very, very humid in there. You can see the top of the car is kind of wet, and when I put my hand down to touch the carpet, it was wet, so I knew that wasn't going to be very good for any of the underbody. And sure enough, when I looked underneath, the floor pans were just completely gone, both sides. As a matter of fact, pretty much the whole underside of the car was gone. The transmission mount was falling out of the frame because the bolt had rusted out in its mounting point. So at that point, I knew the car was in really, really, really rough shape. I don't really see anyone ever getting this thing back on the road without spending a whole lot of money. And so I decided that it wasn't the car for me, especially since the guy had been kind of telling me some tall tales. And the interior was in terrible shape. Most of the panels were broken. What really set me off, kind of pushed me away from the car. We couldn't open the hood. The hood release cable was broken, and he didn't really want us to try and open the hood or the trunk. The battery was dead, so we couldn't get in the trunk either. And so at that point, I thought I'd make one last ditch effort, and I offered him $1,500, which is what I thought the wheels, the bumpers, and the spoiler and hatch would be worth to me. He promptly declined, said it was worth every bit of the $3,000 that he was asking, and I decided to just part ways at that point.